Well, hey everybody. I'm here today working on my Craftsman lawnmower. And this old girl's a 1984. I bought this in 1984. And it's had a hard life. I lived out in the country. I had a 2 1/4 acre lot. And it cut the grass every week for all summer, 2 acres plus, for that 7 years. And then after that I moved to a subdivision lot and it had to do it's a little bigger lot. I mean, it's about a 1/4 acre lot, and it was doing that every, oh shucks. We did that for 25 years. So it's been pretty busy. It's an 11 horsepower cast iron sleeve, and I gotta say, you know, one of the best things I ever did was buy a cast iron sleeve. I paid about $100 extra for it when I bought it. Because it just ran and ran and ran and ran, and it was great. It's been great. And it was so good, it was doing such a good job in the early days that my dad looked at it and he thought it looked great, so he bought one too. And I think his would be considered, I think it's the next model year, I think it's an 85. Almost everything interchanges. There were a few changes to it. And a few years ago he graduated to a new one. He didn't have near the hours on his. So he gave that one to me rather than scrap it. It was running okay, needed some work. But anyway, so I have both of those. The reason I'm working on this today is that while it's been running faithfully for years and years and years, it suddenly lost compression and wouldn't run. This spring, when I was bringing it out, first off, it had a leak in the carburetor. The needle and seat was leaking and it was dripping gas. So I took the carburetor apart and repaired it, and I probably have another video to post on doing that one. But what happened was, I repaired the carburetor, I put it back on the engine, and I couldn't get it to start. It would spin and spin and spin and spin and spin, and you know, even on ether I couldn't get it to fire and run. So it took me a little bit to realize that it was down on compression. Given that it was so tired and I had to get my grass cut, I took the 1985, took the newer one, and transferred some things. My deck had new bearings and stuff. I basically got the 85 running, and I've been using it all summer. I'm sorry the story's getting long, but I want to dig in here today and see if I can understand why the compression went bad. I'm going to pull it apart here, just far enough. I've got my Leakdown checker. I can do Leakdown check. I'm going to pull off the carb and the muffler and see if I can get a look at valve action and see if there's something wrong in the valve action. And because it was kind of sudden. I mean, this engine's been running just fine for years and years, and so here goes. All right, well, we're going to do carburetor first here. And I know that the gas tank is emptied because I've already done that. There it goes. See, just have to put more wrist into it. They're just so close to the body that you really can't get an end wrench on it. You got to use the screwdriver. And then lock tabs out of the way. There's a spring on the throttle. Alright, and the breather's unhooked, so my carburetor should be good to go. Let's see what we got here. That's the intake valve on top and the exhaust valve on the bottom. I want to see if those valves are moving or stuck or whatever. So I can see the intake valve is opening and closing. There's the exhaust valve up. So you can see intake there. It's on its seat. As I turn the engine over, you can see the stem here of the exhaust valve. These are valve in block. They're not overhead, so they lift this way. And the seats are roughly here and here. Alright, so what I want to do is, okay, so there's, the valves are on their seats at this point. So what I'm going to do at this stage is I'm going to put it in gear so that the engine shouldn't be able to turn. I'll set the parking brake so that it shouldn't be able to roll. Well, take that back. I'll just block the wheels. I'm going to get my leak down checker here. And this is going to be a little bit of a game because I can't really tell top dead center. All I can do is make sure the valves look like they're closed. And probably not put the regular 100 psi in it. Let's see what we can tell about leakage. See if I can figure out where it's coming from. Maybe I blew a head gasket, for example. In which case the engine would be more salvageable. Okay, so I've got air fed to my leak down checker. It's threaded into the spark plug hole back here. And the valves appear to be on their seats based on what I see there. And I'm just going to start putting a little bit of air on them and let's see what we get. Unlock the knob here so I can put a little pressure on it. That looks like an intake valve. She's leaking around the intake valve like crazy. Maybe it isn't quite on its seat. But it's leaking enough that I'm putting in 20 and getting nothing on the output gauge, so that's a lot of leakage. Turn the air off for safety, and I'll take another look here at the intake and see what's, I mean, maybe there's just a piece of crap stuck in the intake valve, I don't know. So the intake valve is on its seat, I can tell, so let's try that again. Okay, well, so kind of what you want to do with this is figure out where the air is going. Now it's coming out the exhaust. So the exhaust maybe is cracked a little bit. Even though it didn't look like it was, it looks like it's on its seat. Well, I'm turning it and the valves ain't moving, so I've got some leakage both places. I crank it back up again. You know, I'm just not building any pressure at all. There's a little bit of leakage here. But I'm sure by watching it that it's definitely on its seat. Now the intake's not doing anything this time. Now it's coming out the exhaust. And I've got like 2 PSI. I'll crank it up here while I'm at it. What can I get? You know, I can get about 75 and I got about 5 on the, and it's all coming out the exhaust. Looks like it's probably a burned exhaust valve. Alright, well, you know, I don't hear, you know, it doesn't seem to be like a, it doesn't seem to be like a blown head gasket. I'm not getting anything out the breather as if it's coming by the ring, so I'm going to say this one needs an exhaust valve. Alright, well that's the... And just looking in the opening, and the travel, it looks like it's on at the bottom of its travel, like it's seated properly. It doesn't look like it's held off of its seat, so I guess that's my answer, is I finally ran it long enough that the exhaust valve won't seat. It's most likely repairable. I could take the engine down, replace the valve, get the seat ground, and maybe make her run again. For now, that's as far as I'm going to take it down, but today's diagnostic on my poor old engine. Well, that's a better understanding of what's the matter. I mean, it looks like the exhaust valve is leaking pretty heavily. You know, I don't hear any leakage anyplace else, so from a cylinder leak down, that's where I would look next, is pull the head, remove the valve, see how bad it looks. But after all these years, it probably needs a valve job. Maybe new valve and seat ground, but not surprising after all these years, so I'm not disappointed. It's just my curiosity. For now, I'm going to go run the other mower and the other engine and go cut my grass. That's all for now.